I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna be doing this anyway, so might as well record. So, chapter 4, autosuggestion, the medium for influencing the subconscious mind, the third step towards riches. Autosuggestion is a term which applies to all suggestion and all self-administered stimuli which reaches one's mind to the five senses. Stated in another way, autosuggestion is self-suggestion. It is the agency of communication between that part of the mind where conscious thought takes place and that which serves as the seat of action for the subconscious mind. To the dominating thoughts which one permits to remain in the conscious mind, whether these thoughts be negative or positive, is immaterial. The principle of autosuggestion voluntarily reaches the subconscious mind and influences it with these thoughts. No thought, whether it be negative or positive, can enter the subconscious mind without the aid of the principle of autosuggestion, with the exception of thoughts picked up from the ether. Stated differently, all sense impressions which are perceived through the five senses are stopped by the conscious thinking mind and may be either passed on the subconscious mind or rejected at will. The conscious faculty serves, therefore, as an outer guard to the approach of the subconscious. Nature has so built man that he has absolute control over the material which reaches the subconscious mind through his five senses. Although this is not meant to be construed as a statement that man always exercises this control, in the great majority of instances, he does not exercise it, which explains why so many people go through life in poverty. Recall what has been said about the subconscious mind resembling a fertile garden spot in which weeds will grow in abundance if seeds of more desirable crops are not sown therein. Autosuggestion is the agency of control to which an individual may voluntarily feed the subconscious mind on thoughts of a creative nature, or by neglect, permit thoughts of a destructive nature to find their way into this rich garden of the mind. You are instructed in the last 6 steps described in the chapter on desire to read out loud twice daily the reinstatement of your desire for money, and to see and feel yourself already in possession of the money. By following these instructions, you communicate the object of your desire directly to your subconscious mind in the spirit of absolute faith. Through repetition of this procedure, you voluntarily create thought habits which are favorable to your efforts to transmute desire into its monetary equivalent. Go back to the 6 steps described in chapter 2 and read them again very carefully before you proceed further. Alright. Chapter 2. I hope I don't sound too monotone, but how can I say this? I could easily make it like more animated and all of that, but this is something that I try to do every night. I'm not gonna cap and say that blah blah blah, but yeah. Anyways, fix in your own mind the exact amount of money you desire. It is not sufficient merely to say, I want plenty of money. Be definite as to the amount. There is a psychological reason for definiteness, which will be described in subsequent chapter. Second, determine exactly what you intend to give in return for the money you desire. There is no such reality as something for nothing. Third, establish a definite date when you intend to possess the money you desire. Fourth, create a definite plan for carrying out your desire and begin at once, whether you're ready or not to put this plan into action. Fifth, write out a clear, concise statement of the amount of money you intend to acquire. Name the time limits for its acquisition and state what you intend to give in return for the money, and describe clearly the plan through which you intend to accumulate it. 6. Read your written statement aloud twice daily, once just before retiring at night and once after rising in the morning. As you read, see, feel, and believe yourself already in the possession of the money. Then, when you come to it, read very carefully the instructions for the organization of your mastermind group described in the chapter on organized planning. So, allow yourself with a group of as many people as you may need for the creation and carrying out of your plan or plans for the accumulation of money, making use of the mastermind principle described in later chapter. Compliance with this instruction is absolutely essential. Do not neglect it. Before forming your mastermind alliance, decide what advantages and benefits you may offer the individual members of your group in return for their cooperation. No one will work indefinitely without some form of compensation. No intelligent person will either request or expect another to work without adequate compensation, although this may not always be in the form of money. Arrange to meet with members of your mastermind group at least twice a week and more often if possible, until you have jointly perfected the necessary plan or plans for the accumulation of money. Right. No need for perfection here. Maintain perfect harmony between yourself and every member of your mastermind group. If you fail to carry out this instruction to the letter, you may expect to meet with failure. The mastermind principle cannot obtain where perfect harmony does not prevail. Keep in mind these facts. If you are engaged in an undertaking of measuring points to you, to be sure of success, you must have plans which are faultless. Second, you must have the advantage of the experience, education, and native ability and imagination of other minds. This is in harmony with methods followed by every person who has accumulated great fortunes. By comparing these two sets of instructions with that which has been stated on our suggestion, you of course will see that the instructions involve the application of the principle of auto-suggestion. Remember therefore, when reading out loud the statement of your desire to which you are endeavoring to develop a money consciousness, that the mere reading of words is of no consequence, unless you mix emotions or feelings with your words. If you repeat a million times the famous Emile Coué formula, day by day, in every way, I'm getting better and better. Day by day, every way, without mixing emotions or faith with your words, you will experience no desirable results. Your subconscious mind recognizes and acts upon only thoughts which have been well mixed with emotions or feelings. This is a fact of searching points as to one repetition in practically every chapter, because the lack of understanding of this is the main reason the majority of people who try to apply the principle of autosuggestion get no desirable results. Plain and emotional words do not influence the subconscious mind. You will get no appreciable results until you learn to reach your subconscious mind with thoughts or spoken words which have been well mixed, well emotionalized with belief. Do not become discouraged if you cannot control and direct your emotions the first time you try to do so. Remember, there is no such possibility as something for nothing. Ability to reach and influence your subconscious mind has its price, and you must pay that price. You cannot cheat, even if you desire to do so. The price of ability to influence your subconscious mind is everlasting persistence in applying the principles described here. You cannot develop the desired ability for a lower price. You and you alone must decide whether or not the reward for which you are striving, the money consciousness, is worth the price you must pay for it in effort. Wisdom and cleverness alone will not attract and retain money, except in a very few rare instances. Where the law of averages favors the attraction of money through these sources. The method of attracting money described here does not depend upon the law of averages. Moreover, the method plays no favorites. It will work for one person as effectively as it will work for another. Where failure is experienced, it is the individual, not the method which has failed. If you try and fail, make another effort, and still another until you succeed. Your ability to use the principle of autosuggestion will depend very largely upon your capacity to concentrate upon a given desire until that desire becomes a burning obsession. When you begin to carry out the instructions in connection with the 6 steps described in the 2nd chapter, it will be necessary for you to make use of the principle of concentration. Let us here offer suggestions for the effective use of concentration. When you begin to carry out the first of the 6 steps, which instructs you to fix in your own mind the exact amount of money you desire, hold your thoughts on that amount of money by concentration or fixation of attention. 1 second. I think I got it right here. Let's see. Kush. Kush. It's not here. That's crazy. And orange. There it is. Bad. Whoa. Wait a second. Can't just disappear like that. 215th anniversary. Does that mean he has a whole lot? Anyway. Shout out to Wiz, Wiz Khalifa. Check out Kush and Orange Juice. Yes. Anyways, where was I? Let us here offer suggestion for the effective use of concentration. When you begin to carry out the first of the 6 steps, which instructs you to fix in your own mind the exact amount of money you desire, Hold your thoughts on that amount of money by concentration or fixation of attention, with your eyes closed until you can actually see the physical appearance of the money. Do this at least once a day, each day. As you go through these exercises, follow the instructions given in the chapter on faith and see yourself actually in possession of the money. Here's the most significant fact. The subconscious mind takes any order given in a spirit of absolute faith and acts upon those orders, although the orders often have to be presented over and over again through repetition before they are interpreted by the subconscious mind. Following the preceding statement, consider the possibility of playing a perfectly legitimate trick on your subconscious mind by making it believe, because you believe it, that you must have the amount of money you are visualizing, that this money is already awaiting your claim, and that the subconscious mind must hand over to you practical plans for the acquiring of the money, which is yours. Hand over the thoughts suggested in the preceding paragraph to your imagination and see what your imagination can and will do to create practical plans for the accumulation of money to the transmutation of your desire. Do not wait for a definite plan to which you intend to exchange services or merchandise in return for the money you are visualizing, but begin at once to see yourself in possession of the money, demanding and expecting meanwhile that your subconscious mind will hand over the plan or plans you need. Be on the alert for these plans, and when they appear, put them into action immediately. When the plans appear, they probably flash into your mind through the sixth sense in the form of an inspiration. This inspiration may be considered a direct telegram or message from infinite intelligence. Treat it with respect and act upon it as soon as you receive it. Failure to do this will be fatal to your success. In the fourth of the 6 steps, you were instructed to create a definite plan for carrying out your desire and begin at once to put this plan into action. You should follow these instructions in the manner described in the preceding paragraph. Do not trust your reason when creating your plan for the accumulation of money to the transmutation of your desire. Your reason is faulty. Moreover, your reasoning faculty may be lazy, and if you depend entirely upon it to serve you, it may disappoint you. When visualizing with closed eyes the money you intend to accumulate, see yourself rendering the service or delivering the merchandise you intend to give in return for this money. This is important. The fact that you're reading this book is an indication that you earnestly seek knowledge. It is also an indication that you are a student of this subject. If you are only a student, there's a chance that you may learn much that you did not know. But you will learn only by assuming an attitude of humility. If you choose to follow some instructions but neglect or refuse to follow others, you will fail. To get satisfactory results, you must follow all instructions in the spirit of faith. The instructions given in connection with the 6 steps in the 2nd chapter will now be summarized and blended with the principles covered by this chapter as follows. Go into some quiet spot, preferably in bed at night, where you will not be disturbed or interrupted. Close your eyes and repeat out loud so you may hear in your own words the written statement of the amount of money you intend to accumulate, the time limits for its accumulation, and the description of the service or merchandise you intend to give in return for this money. As you carry out these instructions, see yourself already in the possession of the money. For example, suppose that you intend to accumulate $50,000 by the 1st of January, 5 years hence, that you intend to give personal services in return for the money, in the capacity of a salesman. Your reinstatement of your purpose should be similar to the following. By the first day of January 19, I will have in my possession $50,000, which will come to me in various amounts from time to time during the interim. In return for this money, I will give the most efficient service of which I'm capable of rendering, the fullest possible quantity and the best possible quality of service, in the capacity of a salesman of that. Describe the service or merchandise you intend to sell. I believe that I have this money in my possession. My faith is so strong that I can now see this money in my eyes. I can touch it with my hands, and it is now awaiting transfer to me at the time and in the proportion that I deliver the service I intend to render in return for it. I'm awaiting a plan by which to accumulate this money, and I'll follow that plan when it is received. Second, repeat this program night and morning until you can see in your imagination the money you intend to accumulate. Third, place the written copy of your statement where you can see it night and morning, and read it just before retiring and upon arising until it has been memorized. Remember, as you carry out these instructions, that you are applying the principle of autosuggestion for the purpose of giving orders to your subconscious mind. Remember also that the subconscious mind will only act upon instructions which are emotionalized and handed over with feeling. Faith is the strongest and most productive of the emotions. Follow the instructions given in the chapter on faith. These instructions may at first seem abstract. Do not let this disturb you. Follow the instructions. Wait, hold on. Wait a minute. You're going too fast. Hold on. Alright. So this is the instructions. Self-confidence formula. First, I know that I have the ability to achieve the object of my definite purpose in life. Therefore, I demand of myself persistent, continuous action towards its attainment, and I here and now promise to render such action. Second, I realize the dominating thoughts of my mind will eventually produce themselves in outward physical action and gradually transform themselves into physical reality. Therefore, I will concentrate my thoughts for 30 minutes daily upon the task of thinking of the person I intend to become, thereby creating in my mind a clear mental picture of that person. Third, I know through the principle of autosuggestion, any desire that I persistently hold in my mind will eventually seek expression through some practical means of attaining the object back of it. Therefore, I will devote 10 minutes daily to demanding of myself the development of self-confidence. Fourth, I have clearly written down a description of my definite chief aim in life, and I will never stop trying until I have developed sufficient self-confidence for its attainment. Fifth, I fully realize no wealth or position can long endure unless built upon truth and justice. Therefore, I will engage in no transaction which does not benefit all whom it affects, and I will succeed by attracting to myself the forces I wish to use and the cooperation of other people. I will induce others to serve me because of my willingness to serve others. I will eliminate hatred, envy, jealousy, selfishness, and cynicism by developing love for all humanity. Because I know that a negative attitude towards others can never bring me success. I will cause others to believe in me because I will believe in them and in myself. I will sign my name to this formula, commit it to memory, and repeat it out loud once a day with full faith that it will gradually influence my thoughts and actions so that I will become a self-reliant and successful person. Indeed. These instructions may at first seem abstract. Do not let this disturb you. Follow the instructions, no matter how abstract or impractical they may at first appear to be. The time will soon come. If you do as you've been instructed, in spirit as well as in act, when a whole new universal power will unfold to you. Skepticism, in connection with all new ideas, is characteristic of all human beings. But if you follow these instructions outlined, your skepticism will soon be replaced by belief, and this in turn will soon become crystallized in absolute faith. Then you will have arrived at the point where you may truly say, I am the master of my faith, I am the captain of my soul. Many philosophers have made the statement that man is the master of his own earthly destiny. But most of them have failed to say why he's the master. The reason that man may be the master of his own earthly status, and especially his financial status, is thoroughly explained in this chapter. Man may become the master of his environment, of himself, and his environment, because he has the power to influence his own subconscious mind, and through it gain the cooperation of infinite intelligence. You are now reading a chapter which represents the keystone to the arc of this philosophy. The instructions contained in this chapter must be understood and applied with persistence if you are to succeed in transmuting desire into money. The actual performance of transmuting desire into money involves the use of autosuggestion as an agency by which one may reach and influence the subconscious mind. The other principles are simply tools with which to apply autosuggestion. Keep this thought in mind, and you will at all times be conscious of the important part the principle of autosuggestion is to play in your effort to accumulate money through the methods described in this book. Carry out these instructions as though you were a small child. Inject in your efforts something of the faith of a child. The author, has been most careful to see that no impractical instructions were included because of his sincere desire to be helpful. Thank you. Thank you so much. After you've read this entire book, come back to this chapter and follow in spirit and in action this instruction. Read the entire chapter aloud once every night until you become totally convinced that the principle of autosuggestion is sound and that it will accomplish for you all that has been claimed for it. As you read, underscore with a pencil every sentence which impress you favorably. Follow the foregoing instructions to the letter, and it will open a way for you to follow alright, come on. Follow the foregoing instructions to the letter, and it will open a way for complete understanding and mastery of the principle of success. Success. All right. 29 minutes. Okay. That's like okay time, I guess. I could have done this quicker and whatnot, but sometimes it's okay to take your time, to like read what you're reading and think about what you're reading and things like that, and Yeah, it's a wonderful thing. It's a wonderful thing. But yeah, guys, you might want to get this book right here. I'm just saying, like, I cannot even explain what this book is. You know, I tried in the past, but it's like every time I try to explain it, it doesn't really do it justice. You know, it's one of those things you just have to experience for yourself. But I must say, it's also one of those things that will come to you. You know, it will come to you when you're ready. Um, a lot of people may have heard it about it before, like, you know, maybe you heard it, maybe you've seen it, blah 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 blah. But there's such a thing as timing, you know. Timing is a very interesting thing. You know, I'm still trying to figure it out. But I would say this. Uh, you know, in the past, I used to rush things a lot. I used to rush things a lot and things like that. And, you know, people feel like I'm hard on them and things like that and blah, blah, blah. And yeah, I can see that. I can see that. But I'm working on myself, right? Like, I'm working on myself. And the thing is, like, to those people who are probably watching this video, like, if you think I'm hard on you, just imagine how hard I am on myself, you know. And then I realized, okay, maybe I don't need to be so hard on myself. And that's what I'm learning, you know, not to be so hard on myself. And I really feel like life is getting better, and I'm gonna find the right people who are naturally gonna gravitate into my life and gonna help me out and things like that. And I'm hopefully gonna be of some kind of help to them, and things gonna get better, you know. As long as we got some weed, we should be good. I'm playing. I'm playing. Cause I know my mom be watching, so I'm playing. That's a good joke, right? Am I really joking though? I don't know. Only time will tell. But what I can say is this: you can't really judge nobody, you know. You can't really judge nobody, not even you, not even yourself, because you don't know why you're doing things you do. Chances are you might be used to doing things, you know, and you might need some new habits, you know. So this is another thing. Like, we don't realize how controlled we are by our habits, and it's kind of scary, to be honest, because yeah, it's one of those things that you gotta, either you control it or it controls you. You know what I mean? And I don't really like the dominating aspect of it, but sometimes you can be dominating without being offensive, I guess, right? I don't know. I'm debating everything. I'm trying to think of a better way to, I guess, like, express my masculinity, if you will, without sounding weird. I don't know. I don't even know why I feel like I gotta apologize for my dominant ways and things like that. And again, I'm going off a tangent, so you know, it is what it is. That's just how I am, or whatever. So bear with me, please. Bear with me. But yeah, you know, it's interesting. It's really interesting to say the least. But yeah, you know, it's one of those things where in the beginning of my life, like very, very beginning, I was exactly the same that I am now. To a certain degree, of course. But I was me. I was free. I was just me, right? But then, you know, of course, you go through life and people tell you things, and then you feel like, okay, I gotta change for people, you know, maybe they will like me more, and maybe this and maybe that, and blah blah. And so you go along with the program and everything like that, and eventually you grow up, and then you realize, okay, it's like you form some type of triage, you know, like you're able to separate things that you like and things that you don't like, and kind of make up your own personality as you grow older or whatever, more mature. And then, you know, you just take what you like and leave what you don't like. And now that I'm scratching 30 in a couple days, clearly, I'm realizing that, you know, it doesn't really matter what you do, you know, because like most of my life, to be honest, like I've been the guy that's always been trying to figure out, okay, what do I need to do to be liked more? What do I need to do to be loved more? What do I need to do to have more friends? What do I need to do to have more company? What do I need to do to this? What do I need to do to that? And like, it sounds like I have a, what, how they call it? Like a need of, it's natural, right? Like we all need each other, but like, you know, the fact that my father wasn't really present throughout my whole life, you know, because of his health condition or whatever, and he passed away when I was young or whatever. I mean, I'm still young, but I'm talking about like extremely young, like 2 years old, young. You know, it kind of developed a sense of, I'm not gonna put it on him because I didn't even know him. So, but I'm just saying, like, I grew up with a kind of need for acceptance towards others, you know, like, I was always the guy to be like, yeah, you know, I was a kid, you know, I'm still a kid to a certain extent, like, let's play, let's have fun, let's chill, let's hang out, let's do this, let's do that, let's watch a movie, blah blah blah. And I'm so thankful to me for being the way that I am, you know. I'm thankful for being the way that I am. I'm thankful for rising like the phoenix no matter what I do. You know, I'm always elevating myself to a higher level each time. I'm thankful for my ability to bounce back, but at some point it becomes redundant, you know, like, of course I'm always gonna make mistakes and bounce back and all of that, but it's like some mistakes you don't have to keep making, you know, like choose different mistakes. You know, and I think that's what it is, like with time and scratching 30 years old, and you know, with things like that, maturity and blah blah blah, it's a wonderful thing, you know. For those who are not 30 yet, you know, I'm not even 30 yet, but I'm just saying, it's not even about like the amount of time. It's just like where I am, like mentally, spiritually, like, oh, God really did a number on me, you know, like, I am very blessed, you know, and I'm very thankful for the blessings that I received and that I keep receiving and that I will keep receiving throughout my whole lifetime and the lifetime of my whole descendants. You know, I'm thankful. This is not something that I take for granted for sure. But I just want to say this, right? Because I've been rambling a whole lot or whatever. But I just want to say this, like, you know, from my own experience, of course, the way that I see things is like, there's something about you that makes you original, right? Unique, authentic, all of that. And there's something about you that happens when you tap into your inner self. You know, you tap into yourself. You know, you in your bag and all of that, and you just do you, right? And you're just doing the work, and you're inspiring people. You're doing what you're doing. You know, you're making the world a better place in your way, in your own way. There's something that happens within you that is wonderful. You know, it's not something that you can buy for sure. I don't think you can buy, or this. It's not something that people can give you like a trophy or something like that. It's like a feeling, you know, that you get where, you know, it's like, wow. You know, what a beautiful thing, you know. What a beautiful thing. And I'm really trying to explain what I'm feeling right now, and the thoughts that are coming through my head that I'm trying to express, but I don't think I'm doing a great job right now. But if you're able to understand whatever I've been saying, you know, more power to you. But it's basically me just like, and then whatever you get out of that is cool. You know, I don't even care about. I never really cared about being famous or numbers or this and that and that and this and that was a big lie because I did care for a little bit, but it's like not that much, you know. Like I'm not finna stress about nothing for real, you know. Yeah, because it's like I said, that feeling that I talked about, right? It's like when you get that special connection with God that you're building or developing day by day in your own way. You know, you're talking to God in your own way, right? And it's like the more you talk to God, the stronger the connection gets, and the more you see things, and you just get closer to God, right? Like you just get closer to who you are. You get closer to love. You get closer to the way that you were made. You get closer to nature, and then everything just makes sense, you know. Everything makes sense. And it's that kind of feeling that you can't really buy from a bottle, you know. You can't get that out of a pill, you know. It's nothing nobody can tell you. It's one of those things that you get from inside, you know. It's I don't even know how to describe this thing. You know, eventually I'll become a better painter or whatever because I'm a do what I do, whatever. But if I could just show you what I'm talking about and then explain you what you're looking at, then it would make more sense. But honestly, whatever I'm saying to you guys right now does not make sense to me because I'm speaking from the heart. So there you have it, you know? I'm speaking to you from the heart, and you know, my brain has a hard time or whatever trying to comprehend everything that's going on, but that's okay, you know. The brain can take a break for a second or two, or maybe 4 or 20, whatever it is. Just go on vacation for a second and let the heart speak. Like, I think I have a gift, y'all. Like, I'm not even trying to brag or anything like that. Like, I really feel like I got a gift. Like, I really feel like I can talk to people. Like, even when I was working back in the day, like when I started working in my first company, you know, my first multi-level marketing company, you know, where we basically were selling insurance. You know, at some point you run out of the people that you know, so you gotta talk to people you don't know, and you gotta prospect. And prospecting is basically when you talk to random people that you see down the street or whatever, or wherever you see people. You know, you just step to them and talk to them and things like that. And you know, they say that public speaking is like the number one fear of most people, right? And that's what prospecting is. You know, it's exactly what we are all not willing to do. But if we did, you know, we could easily change our lives, right? But anyway, that's another subject. When I was doing that back in the day, of course I went to rejection. Of course it didn't feel good. Of course I felt embarrassed. Of course people told me all kinds of things, like a whole bunch of things that I don't even feel like the need to entertain. But this is the thing. After you get to so much rejection, it's like something inside of you that wakes up like, okay, I'm really that guy, you know, I'm really that person, that I'm still here though, you know? Like people throwing all this rejection at me, but guess what? I'm still here. And it's like the more you do it and the more confident you become, and the better you become at even communicating, to the point where people, you know, eventually the goal when you prospect is kind of like when you step to beautiful women and you put your bid in, and you know, you hope for the best. And hopefully you get a number, right? It's the same thing with people. But the thing that I'm trying to express is that you get to a point where you don't even care about rejection or not being rejected or being accepted. You just step to the people and you just have this image in your mind, and then you just let God speak, basically. You know, I scratched that back in the day. You know, I scratched that, and I remember like we did, you know, competitions, me and my friends, you know, where we all used to go prospect, and then, you know, we used to do it for like 30 minutes or whatever, and then we call each other and be like, okay, how many numbers you got, blah, blah, blah. And honestly, y'all, it got to a point where I was the one with the most numbers most of the time, you know, and yeah. It was a big W, you know what I mean? It was a big W, and people, you know, recognized me, and, you know, all of that good stuff happened, and I started believing it, and yeah, it was cool. It was cool for what it was worth, But it's one of those things, like compliments from others now compared to then. Back then compliments from others were like everything to me, almost, right? Not really, but I'm just saying. It's like nowadays, excuse me, by the way, that was gross. But like nowadays, it's like compliments from others are received, of course, they're appreciated, of course, but it's like I'm so like happy with who I am with myself that it doesn't have the same effect, as back then when I wasn't really into myself as I am now, I should say. It's more, if I could describe it, I would say that it's more of a confirmation when I hear compliments from others. Because guess what? These days I be complimenting myself a whole lot. So I'm not, it's not like back in the days when I didn't compliment myself a whole lot. And it used to feel like a breath of fresh air where somebody will compliment me and say things to me. Nowadays, it's like I give myself grace, I give myself flowers. So when I get flowers from others, it's like, wow, you must be a great person to be able to give flowers to others. That says a lot about you. And that makes me appreciate things on a different level, but it's more of an appreciation for the person that's sending me flowers. It's not like back in the days when it was like, yes, I deserve all the flowers and I'm the man, and yes, 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 me, and I didn't really care about the people giving me compliment. It was more like I get compliments and I feel like I'm that guy, and of course I wouldn't say it because thankfully I never been that guy, right? Cocky and all of that, but you know, I'm just saying, it's a wonderful thing. Long story short, thank you for the compliments. Okay, I'm just in a different space. I'm just in a different space. Well, I like the compliments and good energy and all of that, which is cool. But it's like it's not even about me for real. Like I really care about my energy, you know what I mean? My energy and what it does as far